The law of the seed teaches us a fundamental principle. One can only reap after laboring. To harvest, one must till the soil, water the seed for it to sprout, invest effort, and wait patiently before finally enjoying the fruits. The formula is simple. Effort plus patience equals results. However, people often forget this law. They tend to ask, if I plant the seed today, what will I reap tomorrow? The answer is, tomorrow, you will have wet seeds lying in the soil. The law of the seed says that what you sow today, you will harvest later. For example, if you plant beans today, in 4 months, you will harvest beans. In the past, when families cultivated their own food, people understood this law more clearly than the generations of today. Break. If only I had a proper job, I would give it my all. But now I'm just washing dishes. There's no need to work so hard. Wrong thinking. Break. If you become the best dishwasher in the area, people will notice you. You might get a raise or at least feel proud of yourself. One day you'll have the confidence to take on a job you truly enjoy. Effort first, then rewards. This is an unbreakable principle. Mary declares, "Just promote me, and I won't nap during work anymore." Frank says, "Pay me more, and I'll stop calling in sick." Jean wishes, "If I had a decent husband, I wouldn't treat him poorly." Credit card and installment companies also encourage people to spend now, saying, "You won't have to pay interest until January," but they ignore the fact that you might go bankrupt by February. These companies cleverly bypass the principle of effort first, reward later. But you know the truth. Effort first, reward later always works better than buy now, pay later. Gardening teaches us another lesson. Even if you plant 10 bean seeds, you're not guaranteed 10 bean plants. Frank planted seeds, but some rotted, some didn't sprout, some were eaten by birds, and some were carried off by ants. In the end, Frank only had 2 bean plants. He lamented, "Why am I so unlucky?" But that's life. To have a few good friends, you must meet many people. To hire a few talented employees, you must interview dozens. To gain a few regular customers, you must serve hundreds. To find a dish you love, you must try many restaurants. Many ideas, employees, and even friends will leave your life like beans carried off by ants. Should we oppose this? No. We need to understand and mentally prepare to face this law. The law of cause and effect. If your life feels stuck, reflect on what you've invested in it. You'll never hear someone say, "I wake up early, exercise, study, nurture good relationships, and work my hardest, yet nothing good ever happens to me." Life is like an energy system. If good things aren't coming to you, the fault lies with you. Once you realize your input determines your outcome, you'll no longer feel like a victim of circumstances. We might envy others and wonder, why doesn't the law of cause and effect apply to them? Break. Someone gets promoted and we think, how did he get promoted? Our neighbors celebrate 40 years of happy marriage, and we wonder, why are some people so lucky in love? Sometimes, the law of cause and effect isn't immediately clear. But believe this, it applies equally to everyone. In life, we get what we work for. Rose attracts women with money and expensive jewelry, but when they leave him, he accuses them of using him for his wealth. Clearly, if you fish with jewelry as bait, you'll catch fish that like jewelry. What's surprising about that? Wendy always goes out dressed provocatively, yet she complains that men only like her for her body. They notice her provocative appearance from afar. What's surprising about that? If we're honest with ourselves, we can list all the events in our lives and how we've unwittingly created the conditions for them to happen. Stop questioning whether the law of cause and effect applies to others. Instead, observe how it applies to your own life, in both your successes and failures, as well as your relationships. When you do, you'll feel much more at peace. As you play better, the game gets bigger. Winning a small game gives us the chance to play a bigger game, and so on. When we start school, we enter first grade, then second, third, and so on. That's an effective system based on the principle that as you improve, the challenges grow. Simple as it may be, people sometimes forget this principle. Frank struggles to make monthly car payments, so in 20 years of working, he's only saved a few dollars. He argues, if I had $1 million, I could do this or that. Wrong thinking. His mission now is to learn how to save $10. Small amounts come before large amounts. Tens before hundreds, hundreds before thousands, and thousands before millions. Candy sings at a bar on the corner and dreams of becoming a star. She says, if I had thousands of fans, I'd show them my true talent. But now, with just a few drunk guys, why bother singing well? Sorry, Candy, but only when you learn to perform your best for 6 people will you have the chance to perform for 12, then 100, and one day, thousands. Jim sells insurance. He has a small office with 1 employee whom he's about to fire. He laments, if only I had a team of 10 employees, everything would be great. Not likely, Jim. You'll struggle to manage a team of 10 when you can't even keep 1 employee. Life is a gradual process. Always ask yourself, what have I done with what I currently have? If your answer is not much, then your future won't promise much either. In short, the universe rewards effort, not excuses. Cause leads to effect. First comes the bell, then the buffalo. Whenever I feel my life is dull, I look at friends living vibrant, exciting lives and wonder how they got there. I realize they started from somewhere small, which led to one thing, then another, and so on. Sometimes we make the mistake of being too picky when making decisions. We might decline a job transfer because it's not our dream job. But if no better offers are on the table, why not take the opportunity? You'll find that one opportunity leads to another. If you don't have a big opportunity now, seize small ones. Dive in. Businessman John Marquardt tells the story of his friend Nick, who got his first job in America. Nick was an immigrant with no money and no English skills. He applied to wash dishes at an Italian restaurant. Before the interview, Nick went into the restaurant's restroom and scrubbed every tile until the place sparkled. When the owner began interviewing Nick, he was still amazed. Who cleaned the restroom? That was how Nick told him, I take dishwashing seriously. Nick got the job. A week later, the salad chef quit, and Nick was promoted. Soon, he became a chef. Now, whenever someone tells me opportunities don't come their way, I think of Nick and his scrub brush. Start from wherever you are. Do your best with what you have, and opportunities will find you. That's how we build credibility and prove the saying, first comes the bell, then the buffalo. There's a fable about a frog and a pot of water often used to illustrate the principle of gradual decline. If you drop a carefree frog into boiling water, it will immediately jump out, thinking, this place is terrible. But if you put the same frog in cold water and slowly heat it, the frog will initially feel comfortable. Then notice the water getting warm, and eventually, you'll have boiled frog. What's the lesson here? Most things in life happen gradually. Like the frog, we may be deceived over time. By the time we realize it, it's too late. Always stay alert to what's happening around you. Here's a question for you. If you woke up tomorrow 20 kilograms heavier, would you worry? Of course. You'd panic and call the hospital. But if you gained 1 kilogram this month, then another next month, you'd likely ignore it. Similarly, spending $10 over budget today may seem insignificant. But if you overspend every day, you'll eventually go bankrupt. Life is a process of accumulation. Small daily actions add up, just as water can erode rock over time. The frog story reminds us to observe daily trends. Ask yourself, am I better, healthier, happier, or wealthier than last year? If the answer is no, change is needed. The scariest thing is that life doesn't stand still. Either we move forward or we fall behind. There's no other option. Discipline. If you discipline yourself to do small things you dislike, you'll have a lifetime to do the big things you love. Discipline may not be a popular word, but it's what makes all the difference. Life is a trade-off between immediate pleasures and long-term rewards. Discipline in small things, like studying instead of watching TV, leads to big things, like higher qualifications. Discipline in small things, like exercising 3 times a week, leads to big things, like good health. Discipline in small things, like saving $10 a day instead of spending it on beer, leads to big things, like owning your own home. The secret to self-discipline isn't sheer willpower, but understanding why you want something. If you truly understand why you want to get out of debt, saving money becomes easier. If you understand why you want to improve your skills, studying becomes less of a chore. Self-discipline also has another benefit. When you're self-disciplined, no one else needs to impose discipline on you. You become in control of your life. Others won't lecture you about how to live. Without self-discipline, you'll end up in jobs where others boss you around. And for those with no discipline at all, the ultimate destination is prison. Order. The first principle of growth is orderly growth. To grow, everything needs a system. Look at a flower, slice an orange, or examine the symmetry of a tree or beehive. You'll see a certain order. Nature keeps only what's essential and discards the meaningless. This is nature's organization. If you want your business to succeed, you need a proper method. If you want a fulfilling life, you must establish order in your life. Brake says, "My workspace is messy, but it's an organized mess. I'm actually very efficient." Really? Imagine someone wheeling Brake into the operating room for brain surgery, and he sees the surgical tools scattered among piles of clutter. The surgeon says, "Don't worry, it's messy, but we work well like this." In reality, wherever work flows smoothly and efficiently, there's always organization. Firefighters know exactly where their helmets are. Ambulance drivers know where the keys are. Nothing can grow and bear fruit in chaos. Clean up your files, your storage spaces, and your surroundings. You'll notice that your external environment reflects your internal mindset. Often, when disorder reigns in your home, it also dominates your life. No effort is wasted. If you place a block of ice at -50 degrees on a stove, nothing will happen at first. It may seem like you're wasting energy, but as the ice warms to dew cells, it starts melting into water. The energy spent has brought results. If you continue heating, the water will eventually boil at 100 degrees Celsius. The lesson? Efforts may seem fruitless for a time, but they're causing unseen changes. Keep focusing your energy, and you'll see progress. If you remember this law, you won't feel lost or discouraged. I often imagine life as a game where I accumulate points. Every time I try something, cleaning, working, writing a book, helping a friend, paying off debt, or learning to sketch, I earn points. All these points add up to my life's scoreboard. However, I don't know how many points I need to earn in the world. This uncertainty makes the process enjoyable, as I focus on accumulating points rather than demanding immediate rewards. Then, unexpectedly, life rewards me. A new opportunity, an interesting offer, or a surprise check in the mail. Life's events come in waves, like sound waves, light waves, or thought waves. Everyday occurrences also follow this pattern. For example, family troubles, wedding invitations, or car repairs often happen in clusters. Understanding this helps us navigate life. If you suddenly earn a lot of money one month without major expenses, save it for the next wave of challenges. When hard times hit, you can remind yourself, I've seen waves like this before. They'll pass. Adaptation. We live in a world full of change. In nature, seasons replace one another. Waves crash and recede, and inflation rises and falls. Yet, instead of embracing change, people often resist it. Remember the natural selection lessons from school? If you're a green bug living in a brown field and don't change color, you'll face trouble. You might argue, the field should turn green. It was green before, but if you don't adapt, it will soon disappear. Nature's law is harsh. Adapt or die. Sadly, biology teachers didn't tell us. This is a life lesson. Adapt. In business, changes can be so drastic that even experts get it wrong. In 1927, Harry Warner, president of Warner Bros. Pictures, said, "Who would want to hear actors talk in movies?" In 1943, Thomas Watson, president of IBM, stated, "The global demand for computers will never exceed 5 units." And in 1977, Ken Olsen, president of Digital Equipment Corporation, remarked, "There's no reason for anyone to want a computer in their home." What's true today may not be true tomorrow. What's good today may not be good tomorrow. The only constant is change. If you leave home for 3 months, you'll return to find your child has grown. Your little one now calls, "Daddy!" There's nothing inherently good or bad about change. It's simply the way things move. Ultimately, happy people don't just accept change, they seize the opportunities it brings. They ask themselves, why would I want the next 5 years of my life to be the same as the last 5?